your first Spartan in 2013.
I did, yes.
You are literally obsessed with obstacle course racing.
I am.
And everything that surrounds it, okay? You created Mud is My Makeup.
Yes.
Did you brought some mud or not?
Unfortunately not, but usually I do put it on my face during a race.
Okay. When you talk, you always talk about it, right? It's like you're crazy about it.
I love obstacle course racing. I love OCR. I think it's a really accessible sport for people to get into, to kind of have an adventure and discover what they can do, to go through a bit of suffering and to learn really who they are. There are so many levels of it. Here, obviously, today we're following the elite competitors, but it goes all the way down to kind of journeymen, to people who are just giving it a go. And I think it's such a wonderful sport, right from the people who are running the fastest down to the heroes who stay out on course for 5 hours. I just love it.
But when you did your first race, it was not the case, right? You suffered so much. You're like, oh my God, what I'm doing.
I hated it. I hated it. I hated it. I hated it. I jumped over the finish line. My first race was a Spartan. I got that medal over my neck, and I just turned to my partner. I was like, when can we do it again?
That's a great thing, right?
Yeah.
Because if you're watching us, you're like, oh, I don't know if I want to do that.
Oh.
I don't know. Just try it.
Try it,
and then you're gonna love it. That's the message.
Very few people don't love it. There is something for everyone, and it's not just about winning and being the best. It's about being the best you and winning for yourself. And the same for the elite guys out today. They are being the best them. It's the same the whole way through.
Okay, you also participate in the Spartan X 2016. We're going to talk about it maybe later. Let's talk about Pippingford Park. It's an amazing place to organize this race, this competition. We're going to talk about what to expect. Let's see the map right now. Let's have a look. Okay, it's going to appear right now. We're going to have a look at this map. What can you tell us?
So Pippingford Park is one of the best locations in England for an obstacle course race. We've had a lot of events there. I think something that's really fun to know is 8 years ago this very weekend there was a beast at Pippingford Park, and it was hell. If today is anything like that, these athletes are in for a hard time. It's an area of outstanding natural beauty. We have a lot of hills here which people do not expect in the UK. There's mixed terrain, there's lots of wood coverage. It's beautiful, but it is brutal. It's a really great location. It's not far from London. It's got something really, really special to offer the athletes, and anyone who's done OCR, it holds a really special place in their heart.
What about the obstacles?
So the obstacles are classic standard Spartan obstacles. We see a lot of the same ones over and over again. Spartan are working very hard to standardize their courses. Some big obstacles that we often see problems on can be the spear throw. What's interesting about that obstacle today is it's not at the very end. We have the multi-rig, we have Stairway to Sparta, we have the hoist. As you can see there, we've got a nice little carry that's going to be in the shape of a Spartan helmet. It's basically a collection of brutal things that are designed to break you.
So last year it took 2 hours for the beast in men and 2 hours and 36 minutes in women. So we can expect like 1 hour and 40 minutes for the men and 2 hours and 15 minutes. We never know exactly.
We never really know, but last year it was in Switzerland. This year it's in the UK. It's quite different. The hills are not quite as big, so we can expect perhaps a slightly faster time. And the athletes today, they've got good legs.
Yes.
So there's a chance they're going to be running very fast.
So let's remind the rules very, very fast. There's a cash prize for top 5 in elite and men and women. Of course, we've got to go fast from the start to the finish line as fast as possible. Let's say that.
Yes.
Because that's not that easy. And if you fail an obstacle, you have to do burpees. Oh my God, I hate that.
Yeah, everyone hates burpees. Everyone hates them. And something that's interesting about this event is we're going to be seeing either burpees or penalty loops. It causes a bit of controversy because a penalty loop can turn a race like this into more of a running race. And very often Spartans can be seen as runner events because they're not mandatory obstacle completion events. But it changes it up a bit. So yeah, if you don't complete the obstacle, you can still podium, but you will have a penalty, whether that's an extra bit of running or whether that is 30 disgusting burpees.
My God. And in your opinion, what are the most difficult obstacles in this race?
What?
It depends of the person,
It
right?
depends on the person, and it depends where it is in the race. So something that surprises a lot of people is that athletes can fail on seemingly simple things like the spear throw or the balance beam. But that comes down to holding your steel and holding your nerve. They are the kind of obstacles that you need to be calm and steady for. If, for example, another obstacle that could be difficult is something like a rig or monkey bars that requires grip strength. If we see that not long after some cold water or a heavy carry where your forearms are burnt out, athletes are going to struggle. A lot of it really, really comes down to holding your nerve and not making mistakes.
Yeah. Sometimes it's difficult. You're so powerful.
Yeah.
You're like running and you arrive at an obstacle
Yeah.
so fast, and it's just a second. You made a little mistake, and
As an athlete described to me, Nikki Johnson, she's a fantastic British athlete, going over the balance beam, at that point she said, you are redlining. You are so determined to win. And even though it's so simple, it's one foot in front of the other, it's not when it comes down to it.
oh, we can see the weather actually is very, very important right now.
The weather
Look.
in itself is an obstacle, and at Pippingford Park, it can make a huge, huge difference. Today, they are very, very lucky. It's warm, it's clear, and it looks dry. That could cause some problems later on when it comes to the swim, and we'll talk about that when we get closer to it. But yeah, so far they're lucky, because that means drier obstacles, less mud, and less cold.
The race is going to start in less than 1 minute right now. If we can see the starting line, it will be very, very interesting for us to feel. There's a special feeling right before the start, right?
Yeah, and Spartan are great at their start lines. They are absolutely great at building that tension and getting everyone really riled up, ready to run. But for every single wave they do that, but especially for the elites when everyone is there cheering. And here is Spartan Phil. We love Spartan Phil. This guy starts off every single wave of every single event in the UK, and he's got the best abs. And he's so epic, and he just gives this feeling. Even if you're running at 4 o'clock in the afternoon and you don't want to do it, you're just like, yes, I am Sparta. It is magnificent.
Look at it.
So what makes it sometimes difficult is when men do run bare-chested, because it is harder to see what team they're racing for or who they are.
We can feel the tension, and the starting line is so important. Concentration. Look at them. And we can see the top 5 right there.
We can see some really good runners there, yeah. Very often what's interesting is the very best runners won't necessarily stand right at the front. They'll let a few others push through. We can see Albert Soli at the front. He is a good runner. He's Spanish. He came 3rd in the European Champs in 2021. He's also a sky runner, so that's going to help him a lot here on this terrain.
I am a Spartan, so let's see how we go.
I am a Spartan.
At the Spartan European Championship 2022, who am I? Are you ready to race? And on my mark in 3, 2, 1, let's go!
And let's go. Very good start.
Strong start. It's a flat start, actually. In fact, more than a flat start, there's a little bit of downhill. So something you have to do at the beginning of a race is kind of break up the pack, and either you do that with a straight uphill or you do that with some empty running before you get to obstacles. Something we're going to see on the map, which is quite interesting, is there has been a change in the order of obstacles from what was released earlier. If you have a look at number 3, which was the balance beams, has been moved further on. That is purely to avoid getting a bottleneck, because if you have a big obstacle early in the race and there's a bottleneck, it's done. It's just, you're in trouble. It's not the best way to do it.
And the start, we have to remember that it's very, very important, because you mark the rhythm, you set the pace, and psychologically you show the other athletes that you are in the front also. It's so important, because physical is important, but also the mental.
Yes. OCR is very big on mental strength. Like many adventure sports and extreme sports, you need to be strong and you need to believe in yourself and you need to play the game. If you can get that little bit of head start at the beginning and continue to hold and not make errors.
Okay, we see something very strange.
I'm
we were
confused.
expecting the ladies, the women to
But there's Ida Mathilde. So this is the elite women setting off at the same time as the elite
okay,
men,
we're
which is
expecting the ladies to start a little bit later, like 5 minutes
yeah,
later. Like
that is
always.
interesting.
So everybody started at the same time.
Do you know what though? I don't hate this. Shall I tell you why? Because there's often a much bigger pack of men running than there are women. Obviously the men tend to be faster, but a lot of the men are not faster than the elite women. And the women get caught up in the end pack of the men. Here, it gives everyone an equal chance. The women can pull ahead of the men. They're not getting stuck on anything. Does it make it harder for us? Yes, it does. Does it make it more exciting? Yes, it does.
Okay, we're always fighting for girls' power. Let's go. Let's go, girls.
To be honest, this is how they used to do it.
Yeah.
So back in 2013, 2014, they used to set off the elite wave all in one go, men and women together. It's been a reasonably recent development to divide the men and women up. I actually don't think it's helped the sport personally. So this is kind of going back old school. I don't mind it.
Me neither. And my help, ladies,
I'm gonna push them.
Yeah, push them.
So we can see it's a bit harder to identify the men, but we can see running strong, not right here, but just ahead is Ida Mathilde Stensgaard. She's a Danish athlete. I have my eyes on her today. This race is a bit longer than she would normally do, but she should. There we go. With the red headband, they all do. She is strong. She has had an incredible this year. In the last 7 weeks, I think she's podiumed every weekend in the last 7 weeks, certainly for the last 3 weekends. And she's not stopping at the minute. When it comes to the men, there's been a lot of talk about Gregory Basilica.
Yeah.
So he's a French athlete. He's a really, really fast runner. We're talking about an hour and 5 minutes for a half marathon. He came fourth at the Spartan World Championships. He's podiumed at the Morzine Beast and the Verbier Beast, and he did finish this year first in the French series, so he's in a really good position. But it is a really stacked field for men and women, so it is going to be hard to call who's going to do well, because it all comes down to performance on the day. So these are those balance beams that we talked about. As you can see, they look really straightforward. I think Steve is hoping to be down there and give us some live commentary when the athletes come through. So that will be interesting.
So we have
there he is.
we
This
have
is Steve
right there. So we have a full team for you today. Let me introduce to you Steve. You might know him, of course. Steve is one of them. Steve, I don't know if you can hear me.
I can hear you loud and
Really?
clear.
Oh, so cool. I'm so happy, Steve. Steve Heyman, so filmed by our friend Cameron Silver. So Steve, let me remind you are a really good athlete. You have done OCR. You've tried your first Spartan in 2012. You never stopped since. You also work as a course manager for Spartan. You definitely know what you're talking about. Could you tell us what you're doing right now?
I'm here right at the start at the balance walls. What an amazing, absolutely amazing day that we have. 9 degrees, sun's out. It's probably the most perfect British day that you can imagine. We've just seen the athletes go off. They've got a little kind of just under a mile before they get into here, and this is where it all starts. We've got 4 obstacles here at this like crazy gauntlet, and basically we've got quite the field, as you guys have already mentioned about the especially in the men's, but also the women's as well. This could be a little bit chaotic, so we're going to see it in a minute with the balance walls. Everyone's going to come up. Basilica, a lot of chat about him, but there's a few other people who we may not know. So Matasio Grout has also, I just saw him at the start line, and he's a 2:20 marathon runner. However, this course is not actually very ideal for, yes, it is fast, especially at the start, but it starts getting into a lot of gnarly terrain that you're going to hopefully see on your screens in a bit. And very excitingly, we're going to see this big crowd come up now, and we're going to see who comes out of this gauntlet. I think that's a Richard Hynek coming in the lead. I think Thibaut Jean is up there too. And let's watch them just go across this, because it's going to get chaotic for the next 5 minutes. Over back to you guys. Thank you.
Yeah, we can see that right now behind you, actually. Let's stay there. We like chaos.
We do. It is chaotic. I was thinking it looks like a pile of little ants climbing over something.
That's what we want to see, right?
We do. We want to see the action right there in that field.
Actually, yes, that's what we want to see, the action right now.
So like I was saying, there have been, there is talk, there's been talk about Eugenio Bianchi, there's been talk about Gregory Basilico, but you really don't know until the day comes how someone's feeling. Somebody can just be feeling slightly off that day and they can't push to 100%. Great techniques here on the barbed wire crawl. This is a horrible obstacle. You can see a couple of different ones, crawling, rolling. It's just getting through as fast as you can.
I like the rolling style.
I mean, if your tummy can handle it, that's fantastic. So this is the vertical cargo net with a little bit of an Irish table to start, which is interesting. Some nice techniques you'll see here. Never been able to do that. Absolutely terrifies me. But if you want to be doing well, you've got to be rolling over the top. There we go. Here's Ida coming off the balance beams. It would be nice to see more of where the women are placing. Like you, I'm always big on the women's competition.
Hey, you bet on the right one. Ida.
Yeah.
I was thinking about Lisa Seegers, but on Eder Ortobagiova.
So Esther is a surprise entry. She wasn't on the start list, and we received a message very late last night saying she's now running. So she is, as far as we're aware, a bit of a surprise entry. She has kind of moved up into favourite in the women now. She's had a really good career, trifecta world champion in 2019, second in the European Championship 2018, third in 2017. So she's placed well in the European Championships. Never quite taken the top spot, maybe she can now, but she is a strong, consistent athlete. Like I say, in the women we have fewer competitors, but the ones we have will be battling it out.
Let's just remind that there's a lot of athletes at the beginning of this race, like 7,000.
Yes.
It's a lot.
We're roughly about 2 kilometres in here. Yep, we are already that far in. They are running fast and we're getting some tasty terrain here. They will start to separate. We will see the women tied in with the men, obviously, but it will start to be easier to see who's the front runner soon. So it looks like we have Gregory there in second place, surrounded by some Czech runners. I'm thinking Pavel Hedina and Richard Hynek. I apologise, the pitch is not quite great enough for me to pick up here. But yeah, we have Basilico surrounded by the Czech Republic. Right now, it's still a really tight field.
Maybe Steve can help us because he's very close to them.
There's Petr Dornak.
Yeah.
He has had a fantastic year so far.
Steve, do you hear us? You're very close to the obstacle.
Hey guys, I can hear you loud and clear. So monkey bars, although it's absolutely soaking wet, the athletes have managed to get through. The Czech athletes, Richard Hynek is in second place. Gregory Basilico from France is right up there as well. Very excited, but again, very early on in the course. I still think if you're about 20th here, it's about a minute behind, you can still catch up. So pacing is key. We're going to see how it unfolds a little bit later on in the course. But pretty safe so far, only a couple of people using the penalty loop. So, but a little chaotic.
Again.
It's such early days in this race, and everything changes a lot throughout it. We can see the grass is really damp, which means the obstacles are damp. But I mean, these guys are professionals.
Again, it's very early, and I agree.
Yeah, everything can change. There is a lot to happen. Gregory is holding strong. It reminds me of, you mentioned yesterday that you've done a lot of work in car racing. Yeah. This reminds me a little bit of when you get the cars working together, the same team to kind of push one ahead. He is surrounded by Czech athletes here. hear them working so hard already. And like Steve said, being a good runner on the flat isn't going to mean that you're going to be successful here, because this isn't a completely flat course. There is some flat running, but what is it, like 840 meters of elevation? I'm very, very happy. You're going to tell I'm a big Ida Mathilde Steensgaard fan. I really am. She, this year, has been incredible. Just 2 weeks ago, she was at the OCR World Championships. She came first in the 3K. She came fourth in the 15K. She was the highest placing European. And then on the Sunday, she podiumed third place on the co-ed team event. The week after that, which was only last weekend, she took on Red Bull Conquer the Castle, and she came first there. She has been podiuming throughout the year, OCR series, Nordic races. She has not backed down. Longer than she likes to run here, but she's really on a roll. There are some fantastic females, but I can't see her not being on the top 3 today. There would be something going wrong if she wasn't.
And cheers to that.
Yeah. So something that might be interesting to talk about now before we get into the real nitty-gritty is the way we can see these athletes are dressed. Obviously it's a warm day there today, a lot warmer than expected. We can see some covered head to toe, which is quite sensible because they are going to be having a lake swim. That lake swim is going to be very cold, and then following that we have a run through woods. Now the woods in the UK, as I guess they are everywhere, but I can certainly tell you in the UK, it's cold, it's breezy. If you are wet, damp, cold, that can affect your race massively.
Absolutely.
We are going to struggle for coverage there because of the network connection in Pippingford, but I think we could see coming out of those woods some big changes, and when it comes to the obstacles after the lake and the woods, some people are struggling. Races can be won on clothing management and temperature. We saw it in Nicole Miracle at the World Champs a couple of years ago. She won because she planned her clothes correctly for a freezing cold mountain. And she's an incredible athlete, but...
And I'd like to remind that if we can follow these athletes so well, it's because we have amazing rabbits, not animals, of course, but amazing cameramen following these athletes. And these cameramen are called rabbits because they're running. They're athletes themselves. I would like to introduce them to you because you know it's an exclusive behind the scenes that I would like to give you, offering you. It requires a lot of preparations. We have like 4 cameramen inside the heart of the race, of the competition. Indeed, they're running with the athletes. Let me introduce them to you. We have David. David is amazing. He's you know, a runner, a 400-meter runner, a Spartan Pro Team athlete, captain firefighter. He won many Spartan elite races. So I would like just to.
This is a reasonably unusual setup in coverage of OCR in the sense that the rabbits are running the race with the athletes.
With them.
Normally we would have a lot more runners. They would be placed strategically and they would run for a short while. This kind of stamina to run on this terrain with a camera, keeping up with these athletes who are competing, is actually incredible. Now David, as you mentioned, is a Spartan athlete himself who's not competing today. But they are incredibly strong athletes themselves, and we are very, very lucky to be having them.
Yes.
They are giving us something very, very unusual.
We have David, we have Jordan. Jordan is amazing too. He's a trail runner, cyclist, hockey player, ski mountaineer, and he has an incredible track record in several areas. We have Julian, the founder of Summit Training, coaching structure for endurance, sport like triathlon, trail running, and Spartan race. And some of his athletes are here today also. So that's amazing. He's filming his athletes. And we have Benjamin. He has done more than 80 OCR Spartan races. He has been on the top 10. And he's a rabbit videographer since 2019. So, and we have a drone covering the course. We have a Steve. We have a, we are trying to do the best coverage for this championship.
Let's go.
Just
C'est
for
bon,
you.
c'est la première femme.
So they've just dropped the sandbag now. They're going to move
Yeah.
on to
Okay.
the 7-foot walls, and then we're going to see the parallel bars. That's a really fun obstacle that we can talk about. Now also something to remember about the rabbits is they've run this course quite a few times this week already. They've been on site during the week. I was with them on Thursday night and they were so wonderful. They were all there with their phones comparing terrain, comparing running times. These guys are serious athletes.
Yeah, you were trying some of the obstacles.
I was trying and not doing very well. It's always good to remind yourself how hard these things are and how well people do them.
So how do you feel just being here and watching?
Oh, do you know what? I love it. I don't know if you can tell like how excited I am and how much I love this sport. It's so exciting. The atmosphere here is not the same as on site, and I hope we are being able to bring that atmosphere on site to the guys at home. It's so exciting to watch. I do miss running it, but I would never be with those guys anyway, so it's fine. But it's wonderful to be able to see those front runners and see how they're doing.
So let's go back to the field. Let's see how it goes right now.
Still with Ida Mathilde running at the front, I think. I did see Jezebel briefly earlier, and I have seen Esther running. I want to say that's Esther. The picture's not great. Again, she's our kind of surprise entrant. She performed well at the Euro Champs. In 2018 she came second, 2017 she came third. Jezebel, she's a French athlete. She was fourth at the Spartan European Championship in 2021. She often competes with another athlete, Janka Popova. We should see her kind of in the top 5 today. We're still seeing Gregory running well with his trademark arm sleeves. It's always interesting to see what athletes choose to wear for events. Everyone kind of picks their clothes strategically based on what their strengths and weaknesses are and what they need. A couple of athletes kitted up with hydration packs and nutrition, which is interesting. Ida really running strongly there. We should be starting to get to a little bit more elevation now. This is where the terrain can get quite nasty. I'm not sure if we've gone over the 7-foot walls yet. We've got quite a way to go. I think we'll probably be coming up to them. And we see one of our rabbits there just in the corner. We tend to see, historically we've seen a lot of the same kind of countries succeed in OCR. Sweden, Denmark, Belgium, very good athletes. Lately we're seeing a lot more Slovakia, Czech Republic. Italy is a country that's never been quite so forward in OCR, but in the last couple of years it's really, really pushed. And like we say with Eugenio Bianchi, coming from Italy, as an absolutely incredible athlete. And he placed first in the Italian series. He placed third in the French series, and he's got a lot of other accolades, lots of other sports he does, sky running. Again, going to do really well here for him with that. In 2021, Eugenio got 7 Spartan first place, and he was 5th at the European Champs. So he's got a really good heritage. And you can hear how hard the athletes are working. Esther overtake Ida. I think, Corinne, that our viewers can connect with us on Facebook and send comments and questions in as well.
Absolutely, that's very, very important to remind. So you can send us many comments on Facebook. You can send us messages if you have any questions. Please feel free to send us your messages, your comments, and we will try to answer as much as we can.
Yeah,
of course.
It's so wonderful to get interaction from the audience, know what they're thinking, know what they're feeling. If you're on site, send us a message. If you're at home, ask a question. Get involved with us.
And we can even post your pictures, like if you have pictures. I mean, nothing crazy, but
Can I ask a request from people?
Oh yes, you can.
If you were at the Spartan Pippingford Park Beast in 2014, why don't you send us your lake pictures? If you've still got them, send them on, because I would love you to see people's faces coming out. So this is the parallel bars. These were last seen at Pippingford in 2014. So simple. We've just gone past it and missed it, but basically it's a set of parallel bars that you have to traverse using your hands. You can't touch the ground, you can't use your feet. It requires a lot of arm strength, a lot of core strength. When you're a bit cold, it can be really difficult, and it's a good one to slightly burn out the forearms. Really simple obstacle. My favourite obstacles are always the most simple. The least there is to it, the least instructions you need, just getting from A to B, kind of with what makes sense intuitively, the best kind, and the hardest to design. Course design is an absolute art.
You can feel the pain right now.
So we're just behind Richard Hynek now.
Oh, yeah.
He came first in the Spartan Trifecta World Championships in 2019, fourth Spartan European Championships in 2021. He's from the Czech Republic, a great athlete. We have so many fantastic men here. It's really hard to kind of talk about all of them.
Really.
And do you know what? So what's exciting about the men's field now is in the past, if Jonathan Albon was running, Jonathan Albon would be the one to take the gold. It's very
Absolutely.
rare he wouldn't. He's not here at the minute. He's recently signed up to the Great British Trail Running Team. And so his possibilities for running other events are limited. But he's doing so fantastically in another sport that, you know, we're happy
Yeah, it's
for
a
him.
shame, but yeah,
it's
we're
a
so
shame. He's such a
happy.
glorious athlete to watch. But without him here, I will look at the positives. Without him here, it means the men's field opens up. I think it probably does a lot for the mental position as well, because everyone goes, that top spot is for the taking. I can have it. Yes, of course, having someone like John Albon to compete with is fantastic, but it's difficult. And now it's anyone's for the taking. It really is.
Yeah, we can discover other athletes.
Yes.
You know.
I will tell you, the view from the top of this hill is absolutely glorious. I'm glad I'm not running up it, but when you get to the top, it's beautiful. So our next obstacle coming up after the parallel bars is something called Twister. This is an upper body rig obstacle, so you need grip strength and you need arm strength. It also requires technique. It's kind of, how best to explain it, it twists. So it's a hand over hand. Here we go, we're seeing it now. The athletes traverse from one end to the other using the handholds, but the bar itself turns.
Okay, now I think we can see where Steve is. He's at the Twister. Steve, can you hear me?
I can hear you very loud and
I
clear.
think Steve is right there.
Yeah, fantastic scenes here. We've actually got a real big pack early on. We've got Basilico and Peter Dornick, 1 and 2, and Richard Hynek bringing up 3. But there's a field of about 10 or 11 athletes all at Twister at one time. So this is a really exciting race. There are some people here who were probably about a minute or 2 back on monkey bars, you know, really early into the course, and are just creeping their way up. And as I said earlier, this course really opens itself up to, you know, to pacing yourself, because it really, you know, it really is a second half race. It starts getting a little bit more difficult. They've had a taste of some of the bushwhacking, but it gets fairly severe later on, and the obstacles just keep packing in. So yeah, really interesting scene here. I've never really seen such a tight pack. Usually spreads out a little bit more. We can just see him going over Stairway to Sparta just now. But beautiful views, probably the best view in East Sussex here. Back to you guys.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Steve. You see, he never saw a packed place like that. So it's
So
different.
what's interesting to see about this race, I mean, we're 5 kilometres in and we're still seeing a strong pack staying together, but we've barely hit the we've barely hit the elevation yet, and it is going to be a second half race.
And I think we can have a look at the presentation of the Stairway to Sparta with you and Steve.
Yes.
Again, you and Steve. Huh.
Some magical studio shenanigans.
You can get
I
two
am there
places
as
at
well.
the same time. Wow, that's crazy. Let's have a look right now.
Stairway to Sparta could be a little bit of a talking point, especially in the women's race. The Europeans haven't seen this that much. So, you know, having these new introductory obstacles can be a little bit tricky.
Yes.
Obviously, David's just made super easy work of that, which is fantastic. But the pedaling loop might get a little bit of use.
Well, as David shown, you have to go at it full pelt and attack this obstacle with no fear, right?
Absolutely. So hopefully we'll see the athletes do that.
Fantastic. So that's now called Stairway to Sparta 2.0. It's had a little bit of an upgrade with the handholds. It's quite a tricky one. I mean, as we saw with David, that was one of our rabbits. He's about the same height as me, and you can see him just reaching for the first handhold there. And if you don't attack that obstacle full pelt, you're going to really struggle if you're a shorter athlete to get onto those holds. Shouldn't be a problem for any of them here today, but it is certainly one that you need to go at with gusto. So as we were saying just before we saw that video, this is very much a second half race. If anyone can see the map and see the elevation up in the top corner, it starts to get really nasty kind of halfway. And we're about between 5 and 6 kilometres in, and we're still seeing a heavy pack together. And the obstacles start to get very, very heavy at the end. Throughout the main body of the race, they're nicely spread, and do you know what? Spartan have been quite kind. They've not done any really nasty combinations, which is good. I mean, one of the hard things with designing an obstacle course race is making sure that it's testing and it's difficult without being impossible. You do not want everyone to fail. You want everyone to compete, and they've done a really good job here. But these athletes do need to pace themselves for the end, and those who are not so great on the hills need to remember there's a lot of elevation coming up and not to underestimate it. We just saw a little snippet from the drone of the lake there. I think I'm traumatized from that, to be honest. I keep going on about it. Here we go, we have the women coming through on Twister now. It's looking like we've got Esther in the front, closely followed by Ida. You can see the women are kind of running in between the, I don't want to say the second half pack of the men, but they are in between. But look at this technique and look at this strength. Careful but strong.
Come on, come on.
What you want to avoid doing is just making any silly mistakes. Athletes can get carried away and think they can save a couple of seconds by, you know, on some obstacles, lashaying or taking a bigger stretch. Sometimes it's just not worth it.
And we are right now looking at your posts on Facebook, so thank you so much for all your messages. And yes, rabbits are doing amazing, amazing job.
So lucky. So here we go. You can see the height difficulty. It's very difficult making obstacles that work for shorter people, and that does include men as well as women, because we have a lot of incredible OCR athletes who are short. Ida really showing her strength there with a really strong pull-up. She is incredibly strong, this woman. I am absolutely in awe of her. And there, just on that one obstacle, we have seen something beautiful, and we have seen Ida going from quite a few seconds behind to very nearly catching up. And so often, it's the difference is made on just obstacle proficiency and obstacle technique. Now might not be the time to push, push, push hard, just stay together and keep on her tail. But there will come a point where she will make that decision if she wants to try and take first.
Moi j'ai plus aucune, j'entends plus rien chez eux.
We can see everything is good. We hope, thank you so much for the beautiful images. Thank you so much. We're glad you're okay.
How
Please
beautiful.
continue like that.
How beautiful is this vista though, huh?
So we know that for now, Gregory Basilico is the first man. For now, is 4 seconds away. 4 seconds.
We can just see the swim going through.
And
Fantastic.
just behind is Petr Dornak. So that's a very good job for Gregory Basilico. And actually, we can hear Gregory Basilico. We have an interview from him that we had yesterday. Let's hear him right now.
Je pense que ce sera une course rapide, mais à la fois piégeante du fait que ça va monter, descendre, beaucoup d'obstacles. Donc je pense qu'il ne va pas falloir partir très vite, mais garder un peu sous le pied parce que ça va se jouer, je pense, à partir de la mi-course.
So he was basically saying he thinks this is going to be a very fast course with a lot of hills. There's not a lot to say about what we're going to think of courses. I mean, these athletes run Europe-wide, worldwide. Every course is completely different. Anything that people can know is kind of from if they've raced here before or what they've seen online. He's right. I mean, it is going to be a very, very hilly course. It's going to take a lot of effort. So we can see them going over the lake swim there. I know I keep talking about this, but this is quite an important part, especially for athletes running later in the day. And I'm going to make a comment for anybody who's running this weekend. Be prepared for that lake, because one of the dangers of cold water, it's not how you can swim. It's not whether you can swim. It's the shock to the lungs. I'm sure you've experienced that plenty in your life. And when you get into that water, it's so cold and it hits your lungs, it can cause you to do a big inhale, and that can kind of cause you to start to panic. And that's hard to recover from. It's also hard on the muscles. This can cause cramping in the legs. It can cause cramping in the arms, especially if we are going into that very cold and breezy terrain straight after.
So what's the best way to prepare yourself to that kind of thing?
I mean, if it was me, I would wear a lot of layers. But these guys are running so fast. They are not wanting to be wearing a lot of clothes. It's really acclimatization. You've got to get used to being in the cold water and continuing to run afterwards. Cold water baths, cold water dips, and combining. What's beautiful about obstacle course racing is it is not one discipline. It is so many disciplines, and you never know what is going to be thrown at you. As you've learned in this last week, nothing is defined. Everything is a surprise. Very often, Spartan used to not release course race maps until the day, so nobody knew what was coming. So you have to really be prepared for anything they can throw at you.
Okay.
If you know that you're prone to cramping, perhaps you wear calf sleeves or arm sleeves. You make sure you've got the right nutrition, you make sure you're feeding yourself well in the week before. We can see even Ida's carrying a little pack there. She's going to have some nutrition in it on a half marathon course. She's going to be needing it, and it's very sensible. So this is armour, similar to an Atlas ball, but also completely different. This is good for burning out those forearms. It comes right before the swim. I am personally surprised that they didn't put armour ahead of, say, Twister, to really be nasty, but again, they're not here to make people drop out, they're here to make people compete. So we recently heard that we had Gregory Basilico coming in first, followed by Peter Doran, and currently we have Esther Portobayova, apologies if that's not completely correct, coming in first. And I want to say that Ida's coming in second. Not had word on who the third place woman is currently. So if you think the swim that we're coming up to now, that's obstacle 15 of 35. We still have another 20 obstacles to go after that, and we're not even 8 kilometres in, maybe 7.5 kilometres. So we've really got the majority of the race to go after this. That's going to be the killer. You can see them running straight into the woods there from the absolutely freezing cold water. That is going to be so unpleasant for these athletes.
Thank you so much. We are receiving a lot of messages. Yeah, you can continue to
We'd
send
love
us
to hear anything
messages,
from people at home.
and we are receiving messages in Portuguese, in French, in English. Thank you so much. Merci beaucoup. Muito obrigada. Grazie mille. They're saying thank you for this beautiful coverage.
I'm
Allez la
so glad you're
France.
enjoying it.
I'm sorry, allez la France.
Allez la France.
Yes.
Well, yeah,
Ida is not showing up. Yes, yes, she's just behind.
she is. She is
just
there and
behind
she is
Easter.
showing
I think
up.
there's a gap around 1 minute.
Oh.
So yeah,
Okay,
it's
so
a huge
Esther's
one.
really pulled ahead in the last couple of kilometres. Can Ida make that up? I would love to see who's coming in third behind Ida.
We'll see.
So here we can see this is Pippingford Park, and that is quintessentially English.
And you talked about it. It's very hard to come up after the lake because then there's a forest.
Yes.
So it's going to be cold
Yes.
right after.
Yes. If you've ever gone on a Sunday walk through the woods, when it's, you know, early morning and a little bit breezy, you know it can be chilly. But imagine doing that in a sports bra soaking wet. It's not fun. I honestly think that's going to be what could really change things for a lot of the athletes. You know, don't forget these athletes are very, very lean. They don't have a lot of body fat on them to keep them warm.
Protect
and whilst
them.
they're running fast, you know, it's getting cold in there. Yes, wearing layers, like we can see with Esther, it's very sensible, but a lot of athletes' opinions is skin is waterproof, skin dries faster. Personally, I need to wear the layers. But these layers that she's wearing are quite loose. That could slow her down. Leaving anything behind on the course will not be viewed well. I'm not sure where they stand on the rule book, but I certainly know in some obstacle course races, you leave anything behind on the course and it's an instant disqualification. That means kit, litter, anything. So you can't change what you're wearing throughout the course. Everything you take on with you, you bring back with you. Tie it around your waist maybe, but... Here's Ida again. So we saw something really beautiful several years ago with Nicole that I mentioned before, a lake swim. It was a very, very cold event. Steve was there himself, actually. And she managed to win the race because she prepared her clothes for after the lake swim. So she kept things in a little pack and she kept them dry. She came out of the lake, she took her time, she got dressed and she carried on running. But we're talking like there was snow on the ground. It was really cold. And that came down to being prepared.
That's so interesting. That's
Yeah.
a way to do it.
Yeah, it's me and Steve said this so many times the other day. The weather is an obstacle. Today, not so much, but the water will be. There we go. We've got the drone shot. It's gorgeous.
I think it's the right moment to remind that Spartan is it's a real vision of the world.
Yes.
It's a global vision of a better and a more resilient world where people are living and training and eating and thinking like a Spartan. It's not just a sport.
No,
you know,
it's a lifestyle.
Exactly.
Joe DeSena is very keen on getting people off the couch. He really lives and breathes this. This wasn't something started to make money or because he saw a gap in the market and he wanted to fulfill it. This is something that Joe DeSena started because he really believed in it. And I think that comes through in the events. You can feel it. And he's still, to this day, involved and at the head of the company.
It's so important. He's transforming millions of lives throughout the world.
Yeah.
And it's so important to remind it throughout all the races all over and over the time and the world. So I like this vision, you know.
Yes.
It's not just a sport that you go and you do and no, come on, get out of the couch. And you know, and
it is wonderful because I think I mentioned this to you yesterday. It's a really accessible kind of event for a lot of people, and what you see that's really beautiful is people start to work towards their performance rather than their aesthetics. People work towards what their body can do and what they can achieve, and we're talking really normal people. We're talking everyone. There are thousands of people that take part in Spartan races, and the majority of them are not elites. I really like the term awesomely average. That is what I always called myself. Completely just a normal human who does this and can complete a course with very little training. You don't have to be superhuman to take part, but it will change your life. I am literally evidence of this sport changing your life.
that's amazing. Get out of your comfort zone, embrace the Spartan lifestyle
Yes.
and community. Come on. I hope we'll change one life at least today.
Oh, we will.
And come come on, and you are in the middle of nature.
Oh, this is such a beautiful location, and I'm so proud to be able to show England off like this. So often people don't know what is available in the UK, and this is a great example. It's not just Scotland, it's not Wales, that is England, and it's so beautiful.
I have a suggestion.
Yes.
Huh? It comes like that. I have a suggestion. Let's have a look at the interview of Peter Dornack, who's now second. We interviewed him yesterday. Let's listen right now.
I won in Slovakia Ultra Beast, and I am a little bit tired from the race. Yeah, I will see how will feel tomorrow.
A lot of preparation just before the race. A lot of concentration yesterday. It was already inside the race.
Yeah.
You know?
So they did a mandatory race briefing last night, which is unusual. They did that off-site. I'm not quite sure what the reasoning behind that was, but we had a lot of the athletes there last night. I mean, we wanted to talk to athletes on the start line, but anyone who's ever competed knows at that moment you were just in the zone.
And now we're gonna see where Steve is. Steve, can you hear me? Hey, are you alone? Are you enjoying?
How beautiful is this? So we're out on
Are you
course.
lost?
We're going to see the athletes. We've let them run a little bit further on the beast course right now, but they're going to be coming back on here. But I just wanted to describe a little bit of the terrain that's changed a little bit from the start. So you can see here there's like long grass. This is like quite bushwhacking. This is actually one of the nicer sections. And there is a lot of this, and this is just going to keep sapping the athletes. And this is an awesome section up here, and then they've got the obstacle ape hanger, which they've not had much in Europe just now. So I think it's going to be tiring on the arms, but I don't think we'll see many failures on this particular obstacle. However, I just wanted to kind of show you this next section from mile 6 or 7 to 8 and 9 is very, very bushwhacky. They're going to be going through some thick ferns and lots of heather and stuff like that, which you'll see in a bit. Quite exciting. We'll see how the athletes fare.
So we just saw them going over Tyrolean Traverse there, and Steve mentioned ape hanger, which is not an obstacle that we've seen a lot here in Europe. It's not massively complex, but what does make it difficult is the lack of stability. So this is kind of, imagine monkey bars, but on a caving ladder is probably the best way to describe it. So it's very, very unstable, and that makes it a lot more difficult.
Let's go, girl.
We are trying to recognize someone.
We are. This
one was not easy.
It's not. Sometimes you can really recognize athletes by their running styles, and sometimes it becomes less easy. The picture is great in some places. We are in the middle of an absolutely huge national park here, so the picture is as good as we're going to get. I do apologize if we're not able to identify people immediately, but we will get there, I promise. I will tell you, this is very normal.
We're doing our best.
It's very normal.
Let's check Facebook.
Julien, est-ce que tu
I would
m'entends?
love to hear from some people at home.
Julien, pour Benjamin.
Okay, so I have the ranking right now, and I think you are a lot of people asking for the ranking. So good news, I have it right now. The ranking, guys. So for the female, are you ready for that?
I'm ready. Tell me, tell me, tell me.
So female, Easter. Okay, we knew that.
Yep.
Easter is the first one. Easter. Second is, oh my God, I'm sorry about that for Ida. Uh-oh. Second is Maud.
Maud de Suter.
Yes,
She's a
Maud
Belgian
de Suter
athlete.
as second. Third is Janka Pepova.
Oh, wow. So Ida's really dropped down from where we saw
Fourth
her.
is Lisa Seegers, you know.
Wow, yeah.
Fifth is Nikki Johnson.
Okay, so Nikki Johnson is a UK athlete. I would expect her to be do quite well. She's in her 40s. She has been mainly podiuming in first place all season this year. So she does have the home advantage, but she's really holding her own against these European athletes.
And then for male, of course, because everybody is waiting for
Oh,
that
yeah,
also.
give us the men.
So first is, and without any questioning, Gregory Basilico.
As we thought.
Second, and we knew it, is Petr Dornak. Yeah, you see my accent, right?
Very good.
Third is Richard Heineck.
Yeah.
Fourth is Albert Soler.
Albert Soler, so he's the Spanish athlete.
Albert Soler.
Albert Soler.
And fifth is Pavel Irdina.
Pavel. So we've got the Czech Republic doing really well, as we saw at the beginning of the race. They were a little pack surrounding Gregory Basilico, but they are still running really, really strong.
And now we have a new interview for you. We're going to hear and listen to Richard Hidnick. Let's go. It's coming right now. In a few seconds, we're going to hear it.
I feel good, and I think it will be a very fast race. So we will see if I will be there with the best athletes. But I will definitely do my best to be there with them and try to win, of course. I think it will be a very tough race, up and down, a lot of grass. So I think it will be completely different race to other races that I races in. So I think it will be a tough race. So we will see.
And we were talking a few seconds ago about Lisa
Yes.
Seegers. She's doing really well also.
She's doing really well in this event, and she's a bit of a dark horse. She's one that we've got to keep our eye on her. She came first at the Morzine Beast. That's a really tricky race. That's kind of considered to be one of the big ones. We don't know a huge amount about her, but what we do know is she's strong, and we shouldn't underestimate her, and she's proving it today.
Yeah, let's listen to her. We got to interview her yesterday. Let's listen to what she said.
Well, I'm feeling great actually. Really looking forward for tomorrow. I trained a lot. I'm in good shape. So we will just run as fast as we can, do the obstacles as fluent as possible, and then hope to get a top 10, top 5. We'll see what's in it. Or win maybe, of course, but yeah, we have to be realistic.
Yeah, you think top 3 it's possible?
Maybe, yeah, the competition is big, but I will give what I have. So let's see.
I love that.
She will give what she
will
has.
give what
And
she has.
it's exactly what she's doing.
Yep. It's hard. I mean, so many, I said this to you yesterday, so many of the incredible athletes are very humble, and you know, they don't want to be going, yes, it's not really in the sport to go, I'm going to be the best and I'm going to be up there. But you can see they believe in themselves, and that's really important.
She's doing everything. And you know what? I just heard, unfortunately, that one of our rabbits, and I'm really sorry to hear that, hurt himself, Jordan, hurt himself right now. It's just to, and I'm really sorry for him, just to understand that it's also very dangerous for our rabbits to run on that track.
Of course, I mean, this terrain, we're not talking a field, we're not talking a track, we're talking very, very messy, very natural terrain. The rabbits, they're not running with their eyes on the ground and seeing where they're going, they're running watching a camera. So it takes a lot for them to stay steady, and I'm really sorry that he's hurt himself.
Yeah. Okay, Jordan, feel better. Okay, let's continue. So for now, we're going to continue. So let's see.
Yes.
We have Edzer. Let's have a look at the map to try to understand the situation. We've done the Tyrolean, we've done Ape, we've done...
The last we saw was Ape, so we're assuming
yes.
they've gone through the cargo net crawl.
Absolutely.
So a really nice obstacle we can talk about is Olympus, or Mount Olympus. That should be coming in roughly, I want to say, if you give me a second, around kilometre 16. There's a couple of different techniques for this. Where you can either really go with the strength or you can use your feet. If it's wet, which it will be starting to get wet now, it makes it a lot more difficult. That's a really good Spartan specific obstacle. So following Olympus is then bender, beater and spear throw. I'm looking forward to talking to you about spear throw, but I do think we might be able to get a sneak peek of Olympus perhaps?
Yes, absolutely. In a second, let's just have a look at the map.
So we can see towards the end of the race, the obstacles start to get really, really heavy, and this is where we're going to see some really exciting competition going on.
And again, Francesca and Steve were at Olympus yesterday, and we're going to have a look at this particular obstacle. Let's go right now.
This obstacle is called Mount Olympus. Now, right now, it's completely dry, but it could get very damp. We've got David and Steve showing two different methods: full strength and using your feet.
Did I beat him?
Oh my
hard
gosh,
one.
it is so much fun doing those
Yes.
obstacles with David and Steve because they were completely competing the whole time. I find this to be a very hard obstacle. It can be one, you're only allowed to use the holes for your hands. You can't put your feet in there. That is a way that somebody could get in a lot of trouble on that obstacle. It can be a difficult one if your hands are tired and wet and cold because you don't have that grip. Steve was telling us in the UK, I think that was 4 bars deep. In the States, it's normally 6, so it's normally a lot bigger. But even as it is, it's difficult, and that is a penalty loop obstacle, not a burpee obstacle. So the penalty loop, like we mentioned, is really interesting because it can kind of start to turn this event more into a runner's race. If you're a strong runner, Spartan is a good event for you. There are other obstacle course races that work on different routes, like mandatory completion, bands, etc. It gets really quite confusing. But with Spartan, you always have a chance to redeem yourself. And if you fail at an obstacle with a penalty loop and you're a runner, you're in for a good time because you just pick it up.
And what about the spear throw?
Oh,
my
spear
God.
throw. The spear throw is a classic Spartan obstacle. It really is, and it looks so simple. But it's not. Athletes practice this time and time again, and sometimes they stick it and sometimes they don't. Usually this obstacle is seen as like the second to last or the last in the event village. This time I think we're seeing it at number 23 out of 35.
Yes.
So what we're seeing here is if people fail, they've got a real chance to pick it up and win. So we are not going to necessarily, but we could still see the race decided on the spear throw like we normally do.
And again, guess what? She was there with Steve. Let's have a look.
Spear throw, rather late into the course.
Well, not as late as it normally is, and that's the interesting thing.
Isn't it? Because it is recoverable. We've got quite a big penalty loop. They're going to probably go back and out, and then it's quite significant. However, I think there's other failable things up from this, and it's not over yet, as we see David miss and has now been caught. He's just done 5 practice throws and hit them all.
So normally, or very, very often in Spartan race, the spear throw is where the race is decided, but not on Saturday, because this comes kind of 3/4 of the way in.
Yeah, no, this is towards the end, but it is recoverable for sure. They've got a lot of obstacles and a lot of gauntlets. They've done the hills and the mountains and all that kind of stuff and through the bogs. It's kind of homeward bound here from now, but there is still a lot of meandering and a lot of obstacles to come, so still failures to be had. Although, if you hit, it's quite tricky. It's kind of high, so it feels a little bit longer.
There's nothing new here, but it's as tricky as it's always been.
Absolutely. We'll see what happens. Always a game changer.
For this.
So
we saw in that
come on.
video, so it's kind of funny. I really feel for David. That, like we said, that's David. Apologies for my accent here. David Labrosse. He is a French Spartan athlete. Prior to that video, he stuck that spear throw, I'd say 5 or 6 times. On camera, failed it. Strategy, stick it. There are lots of different techniques. You've got really strong throw, you've got to run up. Some people kind of balance it on the... What's kind of tricky is there is a rope it's kind of for safety, it's kind of to return the spear to you, but that can get tangled, it can get knotted. The strategy for this, practice and keep your cool. Because really, it's not a complex one. It's not one that you can guarantee you're going to do if you practice. But
I think you could say that for all the obstacles.
I mean, you can. There are some you just have to build up a certain amount of forearm and grip strength for example, or say for Atlas ball, you need to have the right technique to pick up the ball, or maybe you'll hurt your back. But spear throw, keeping your cool is really the best technique you can have.
Always, like, cool down. Don't think too much. Just go with
Zen.
Zen. So breathe and go.
So it gets quite busy after the spear throw. Yeah. If anyone can see the map, it then kind of starts to go to the finishers field, and it's going to be a really interesting competition when it gets to that point.
What's your favorite obstacle? Like
anything with rings for me. Anything with rings. So. A nice little story. Steve Hammond started his career at an event called Dirty Dozen Races with, anyone who will remember him, Doug the Beard Spence. Now, he was an incredible trainer, and I spent a day with him. The first time I did rings was at Spartan Race, and I hung on to one, and then I just fell off. I spent a day, here we are at Ape Hanger. I spent it's all down to learning technique. So this is Ape Hanger. As you can see, like I said, it's like monkey bars, but you have instability. That makes it a lot more difficult. If you can remember the athletes going through the monkey bars and how steady and stable they were and how easy they did it compared to what we're seeing here, it makes it so much harder. And this is the beauty about different obstacles, is these small changes make a complete different obstacle.
Steve, let me know if you're close to there. Steve, hello.
Yes, I'm sure that's,
So that's Pavel coming up to ring the bell, always a beautiful sound. So in the past, and this started in the States as a bit of a trend, people would ring the bell with their foot, especially at the top of a rope climb. It would be a bit of a trick to turn upside down and kick the bell, and that became very quickly a big no-no, and even in the rule books you must use your hand to ring the bell. A little bit boring, but makes sense.
Hey Steve, are you able to hear me?
Hey guys, I am here.
Hey, cool. We can see you.
You're coming in 1 by 5, but yeah, we just saw absolute chaos here at a few people definitely using the penalty loop here at Ape Hanger. It is still an incredibly tight race with top 10 athletes within 30 seconds of each other, which for a beast course I've never really seen before, so it's actually very, very unique. Basilico still in the lead, Richard Heineck is still up there, Alba Soleil is still up there. It really is going to be a very exciting last gauntlet. But there's a lot of running in between here and Olympus. There's a lot of hills, and as I was talked about the bushwhacking. But here we go, guys. This is going to be an incredible finish. I've never seen such a tight pack, in the men's field.
Where is Eugenio Bianchi?
So we're getting to just about exactly an hour into the course, and we're about 11k in, roughly 11 to 12k in.
He's gone.
He's gone. We've lost Steve. It's fine.
I'm doing my thing.
Yeah,
and
I'm running.
gone.
I've got to run.
What do you want, girls?
Poor Steve. He's also running all over the course. It's not easy. Back to Ape Hanger. So yeah. So as you said, we saw a lot of failures here and penalty loops being used. Again, beautiful obstacle. Simple, not so easy. Few different techniques there, side to side kind of crab and keeping it locked out, very important. You see a bit more kind of nice swing technique going on. Everyone has what they prefer. It's, I mean, you know, midway in the race, people are keeping it safe.
But each time we see Steve, it's like, it's chaos.
Yes.
Did you realize?
I mean, I wouldn't expect anything less. If a race wasn't chaos, I would be worried.
Can you tell us a bit more about the penalty loop?
Yeah, so the penalty loop is it's a new addition. Some obstacles will have a penalty loop instead of burpees. I'm not 100% sure why that was decided. I think burpees are kind of a staple of the Spartan race and hated by all. Penalty loop can add a couple of minutes onto your time, depending how fast you run it. So, you know, what's really important is that athletes are taking a serious attempt at an obstacle prior to doing a penalty. You know, you can't just go up and be like, oh, can't do it, and then take the penalty loop, because one, you're not tiring yourself out, and two, you're going to really kind of make up some time on the penalty loop by not attempting it. But I mean, no one that's competing for the top spot would do that. It shows very little heart. So this course also as well is incredibly well marked out. Normally we might just see you know, a few markers along the way, but the majority of this course is kind of 100% marked trail. There have been some problems lately with, and there are a few athletes who are prone to getting lost. So I did have, I was talking to the team whilst I was there this week, and they're saying, you know, we are making sure, and you can see it here with the tape on the course, there is no mistaking where people are going to be running. We are not going to be
Then what
letting
happened
anyone.
when you're lost?
I mean, it is your responsibility. You know, we have had athletes, they go off course and they kind of make their way back on, and it's up to them to make their own time. The FISO European Championships, which is a completely different thing, an athlete called Ulrika Evanson, who's sadly not here today, she fell ill after the OCR World Championships, which is another event. She lost time at the FISO World Euro Champs by going massively off course, and then she had to come back on course. She actually got a time penalty for that as well, because you're not allowed to leave the course. Is it fair? It's in the rules. It's up to you to make sure you keep on the track. That is part of your responsibility. But Spartan have made it very, very easy for everyone today. We can see from this shot, the course is, I mean, there's no missing it. I will say I don't want to be the person who cleans up tape afterwards, though. That is a heck of a job.
And we have beautiful images with our drone.
Yeah, you can just see from the colours how variable this terrain is. Different plants, different kind of, you know, different levels. It is such a great location for a race, and we have had a lot of British events happening here. There was a period where we had a lot of races here. It's not been as busy in the last few years, but it always delivers, and it always delivers something different. It has so much to offer at Pippingford Park. We did have someone mention on Facebook about Ida running in the open category, so being in the wrong, which I mean, that would not be intentional on her behalf. I'm pretty sure I saw her on the start list. That could answer some questions, but I'd be very interested to know how she is and what she's doing. We have.
Maybe she's lost.
Maybe she's lost.
Oh. Okay, Steve, we know now that you're not running.
There I was saying,
I'm so
good
disappointed
Steve, running
right
all
now.
this time.
I thought Steve was running all the way. Oh, Steve. Background.
I mean, if we don't have race coverage, we do have Steve's lovely face.
We have Steve.
And he is a pleasure
live,
to look
the
at.
background. So disappointed right now. Steve live. Inside a car.
Hey guys, I don't know if you can hear me.
Oh yeah, we
Yay!
can hear and we can see. My life will never be the same now.
Here we go. So we're just catching up with the last, with the front runners. We'll be heading to Olympus, which the athletes will be too. And then I can give you a really good update of the men's race. The women's race is still over by Tyro, and they'll be coming into Ape Hangar soon. But I'm going to try and get the men's first, get them through the gauntlet, and then we can see if we can go and chase the women again, and we get full coverage of that finish, probably the last half an hour of the women's race.
Okay, good job, Steve. Thank you so much.
So we've just had word from Facebook, actually. This chap, Jason Dupree. He is incredible. He runs a site in the States called OCR Report and provides perfect coverage. So I am going to take what he says as being truthful. And he says Ida is 20 seconds behind Esther. If so, I'm very, very happy about that. But we are seeing Esther here, so hopefully we will see Ida coming up closely behind her.
Yeah, thank you, Jason. Thank you so much. We are following what you're saying, what everybody's saying on Facebook. Yes. Thank you so much, guys, for participating.
So that's Esther coming in first, heading off after Ape Hanger. And there's Ida. There is Ida. Right behind her. Not far behind.
Welcome back.
My heart is whole. I'm sorry. I have favourites. I love you all, but yes. Esther's an incredible athlete. Ida's an incredible athlete. Like I say, this is not her distance, so there's still plenty to be seen.
Please don't hesitate. Send us your comments, your pictures. We'll try to post it live.
I think we did just see there on the ape hanger as well, was Luke De Benedictus, who's a UK athlete. He's very strong in his field in the UK on this kind of level. Not sure. We were hoping to maybe see him getting close to the top 10. But right now, it looks like he's about 6 minutes behind the kind of head of the pack. And yeah, we are loving the Facebook comments. It's super helpful. Jason, you know what this is like, so we're really grateful for anything you can give us. And any questions you've got, all right, or anything you want to send us or get us to point out, any shout outs, any pictures, send them our way.
Tom is saying Ida back in the game. Woo! Jason is saying Leon is on course live too.
Yes, so Leon is a fellow Dane of Ida's, also someone I absolutely adore. He was on the team with Ida at the World Championships. He's running live for Obstacle Racing Media in the States. He's on Instagram. So he's specifically following the women today, and specifically his fellow Dane, Ida. So we've seen Ape Hanger after the swim. It doesn't seem actually that swim has really bothered people that much. So maybe I'm just a little oversensitive, but really anyone who did that in 2014, you know what I'm talking about. Please get in touch so I don't just look like I'm a little bit paranoid about this or severely damaged. And anyone who's run this course, you know what it's like. So can we give a shout out to the Rabbits, because they are doing an incredible job of keeping up with these athletes.
So we talked earlier about the Olympus.
Yes, we saw the little video.
And finally, not running, but with the car, guess what? Steve arrived at the Olympus, where all the athletes are arriving. Steve, tell us what you see.
It is getting nice being chauffeured around. So usually I'm running. So this one's a nice one for me.
I'm joking.
However, we're just waiting for the athletes here. They're about 5 minutes away from Olympus. I was just having a look at this, and this is a little bit of a trick. So basically, this side with the dew is absolutely really, really slippery. The sun has been on the side, and this is dry. It's actually nice and warm.
Steve, we have a question from the States about Olympus.
Obstacle choice would be very, very key. Sorry, go ahead.
So we had a question on Facebook about Olympus, and you'll be able to answer this working in the States. Is the material in the UK on Olympus now the same as the material in the States?
It is very interesting.
Right.
It used to be built with wood, and wood is a lot more grippy, especially when it's wet as well. This is got a plastic coat on it, and no matter what kind of shoes that you have, it's very, very slippy. So you'll see people doing it all sorts of ways. Knees, even full body contact with a little bit more friction. So basically, just to cover the rules with this, again, they must have a foot on here to start, and then no feet or any other body parts above your hands can go onto the holes up top. So very upper body. This is 4 panels. Sometimes in America we have 5 or even 6 panels on some of the Ultra Beasts or some of the championship races.
How long is the
A little bit
penalty
tricky,
loop for this
not sure
obstacle?
if we've seen many failures here, but we never know. The penalty loop. Penalty loop, let's have a look at it here. It's about 200 meters. They're going to head down here, and it's a very bushwhacky one. I ran it at a reasonable pace, and it was about 1 minute 40 penalty, which is about
So
right.
about 1 minute 40 penalty if people fail Olympus. And it sounds like the success on Olympus could be down to making the right choice and taking a second to see which side is a little bit damp and which side is not. But once more runners come through, all the boards are going to get damp because feet are going to be wet from the ground, feet are going to be wet from the swim, everything's going to start to get a little bit gnarly soon. It's really only kind of important for the front guys.
Yeah, thank you so much, Steve, for all these informations. Well done.
We're
Next
very
time
lucky
we
to
want
have
to see you
Steve
trying.
there. It's great to have Steve there giving us a bit of live
very much,
feedback from the
guys.
course. Thank you, Steve.
So Gregory, we saw Gregory Basilico 20 seconds ahead, Richard Anek.
So that fast running is doing him well. I mean, that is a marathon time, not necessarily an off-road or a trail marathon, but you can see how strong those legs are. You can see how easy that running is. Look at that pace, look at those feet, look at those arms pumping. He is strong, he is a good runner. It's such an interesting sport to be able to have the combination of the legs, the strength, the core strength, the arm, the grip strength. It's unusual for people to embody all, which is why you see some people struggling on some things more than others. But look at that pace still going. I could probably keep up with him for about 20 seconds.
And we are receiving a lot of Vive la France.
Vive la France, okay. I will go with that.
Go, Greg.
I'm sure he's very grateful. The first man, Gregory Basilico.
Some great footage. It's hard running on that terrain, I agree.
So we're 14 kilometers into the race, and we've got Gregory Basilico from France coming in first, with Richard Hynek coming in second from the Czech Republic, about 20 seconds behind. Just had a question from Cameron there. Is the swim, I think the swim is happening all weekend, prepare for it. There are maps online, but as far as I'm aware, the swim is happening all weekend.
Great coverage. Thank you so much for all the team working. Hard work.
It is literally our pleasure.
The rabbits are smashing it, and we have 3 rabbits because one...
We lost one, yeah.
Yeah, we lost one.
Plus a drone that we keep seeing coming in and out. So we've not heard any change in the women's race, so we can assume for now it's still Esther followed by Ida. I'm not sure who's coming in third. We should have some news on them coming in soon, and as soon as we do, we'll let you know. Oh, look at that view. I know,
it's so beautiful.
I know you're used to some incredible views, but there is something very special about that place.
Go, go, go! Go, 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 go! Go, man, go!
So we're really kind of into the nitty-gritty terrain now. If you can see, anyone can see on the map, you can see the elevation. It is very up and down and up and down. And whilst we don't have one huge mountain to get up, downhill running is incredibly technical in itself. It requires a lot of strength, a lot of control, and a lot of different muscles. There are some people who specialize in downhill running. So it's not that it's going to be, oh, this is not just going up. These hills warming them up, yeah, for sure. It is very hard running on that terrain. You would know, I know, Tom, you have done that several times.
Yeah, like I was saying, Tom, the rabbits are smashing it. Thank you for them. Great coverage from Fabian.
Thank you, Fabian. So Fabian is someone who also does coverage in the UK. He is fantastic. I've worked with him a little bit and I absolutely adore him. I'm sure he's there doing his own coverage today for Mud and Glory, and he is always on top of what is going on in Europe.
So coming from him, it's even better.
Oh yeah, that's him. Having him and Jason watching and commenting, very, very. Thank you guys. It's fantastic. It's so nice to kind of feel like you're here with us. It's such a shame that the athletes are going to be working so hard they're not going to see any of this view.
Yeah. So now we have the third athlete. It's a French guy. It's Thibaut Debuchere.
He's actually Belgium.
Belgium. Oh,
yes.
Belgium.
So Thibaut Debuchere, he's a really good athlete. He's just got a string of championships under his belt. It's not a surprise to see him coming up. Like we've said kind of from the start, and it's been said all week, the men's field is stacked. We have so many athletes in front of us who could be doing well. So this is a cargo net crawl. It is one of my absolutely hated obstacles. And I will tell you why. It's cold, it's wet. If it's wet, it gets your whole back wet. If you have hair and you wear it in a ponytail, it gets stuck. If they're tied too close to the ground and you've got no one to follow and be really sneaky, they're just really slow. Like, I know I say I love simple obstacles, but I just don't like cargo net crawls. But it is an absolute classic of obstacle course racing. That's kind of from the old school British style. So, whilst we're just seeing this, I'll give you a quick background in OCR, if I may. We've got a few different styles that have gone into making what OCR is today. The UK is very kind of military mud run, we can say. Basic obstacles, cargo net crawls, climbs, getting dirty, getting muddy, getting wet and cold. From Northern Europe, Sweden, etc., we see the very, very technical races. Spartan at the minute is kind of being a nice hybrid of the two. It's interesting when races go to different countries because they tend to take on the characteristics of that location. So for example, the OCR World Championships, which is a different event to Spartan, was held at Nuclear in Essex for 2 years, and that became a very kind of British race. But when
in the States, it becomes much more American. Spartan tends to be very standardised, so we do see the same obstacles over and over, but there are some
things that have influenced it and made it what it is today. And it's a lovely hybrid of all the different kind of styles.
Yeah. But I was not expecting this obstacle to be like your worst. You see, when you see it, you're like, no, that's okay.
You know how you feel about burpees?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's slow, it's heavy, there's no fun in it. I mean, I don't know, it does nothing for me.
Oh, I get it. I get it. Okay, stop, I get it. I get it, absolutely.
It's not one that's going to beat anyone, but it...
That's the thing. Okay, got it. We got it. And we got, we got it. Wow, definitely. Thank you very much. Oh, who's your favorite from abroad?
Favorite athletes overall? From abroad as in the whole world? Oi, oi, oi. Okay, this is really difficult.
That's a good one.
So my favorite athletes from the States, we'll start with because they're not running today, would be Chris Rogowski and Rylan Shadegg. Absolutely adore those two wonderful young athletes who are going to do some incredible things. My favorite athletes for the European area, and that includes everyone that's running here today, would be, not a surprise, Ida Mathilde Steensgaard, and not competing today is Leon Cofford, a fellow Dane. But if we're going to talk about someone who is competing today in the men, ooh, it's difficult. I'm going to go, I love Nicolai Dahm. Do I have a thing for the Danes? It appears so. Nicolai Dahm is, we've not seen much of him right now. Very strong runner. He came first last weekend again at Conquer Castle. And he's had some good performances at Spartans here, but we've not seen a huge amount of him. I mean, we are spoiled with incredible athletes, absolutely spoiled. In the UK, I love Nikki Johnson, I love Federica Beccaria, they're both running today, they're really strong athletes. This is going to be really difficult for them, but they really have the heart. Nikki especially is an incredible athlete, and that's quite a nice story. Nikki and Federica were recently on a team to compete at High Rocks, which is it's like a hybrid event between CrossFit and Spartan, and they got the world record for the female team. So they are both incredibly strong women.
I agree, and it's very hard to pick one because all have their strengths and their, you know.
Yeah, it comes down to personality, it comes down to running styles. I mean, John Alban, incredible. Yeah, I mean, John, whose favourite is not John, but he's not here today. He is a beautiful, beautiful athlete.
That's right. And I think we have Steve ready with a surprise. Come on, Steve. What do you have for us?
I have elite athlete here, Leon Cufford.
Yay!
You're from Denmark. We're just seeing Gregory Basilico. Fran, you know Leon very, very well.
I love Leon. Yeah.
I'm going to give him an ear so he can sort of say hello, but we're going to just watch Gregory
Hello,
go through
Leon.
this obstacle. What do you make of the men's race so far?
Hello, everybody. So the men's race is incredibly intense. Like, they're packed. We got 1, 2, and 3 coming in within 20 seconds. We got Basilico. Is he done with Olympus? He's getting started with Olympus right now. And then we have Richard Heineck, Thibaut Debucher coming in close. Thibaut is an obstacle master, former Ninja Warrior, European champion. So he'll be doing quite well on this one. And Heineck is just so experienced within the Spartan universe. But nobody can run as fast as Basilico. He's got the fastest flat times of anybody here.
His legs are really doing him well today, and I've been commenting on how beautiful he is at that running. We weren't sure whether, you know, the hills of Pippingford would kind of beat him, but he is absolutely smashing it, isn't he?
It's pretty amazing with the with Alba Soler just coming into Olympus. There is 1 minute split in 1 to 5, which is pretty incredible. Leon, you're very good friends with Ida. How's she doing today?
Ida is looking quite comfortable out there. I think Esther, I haven't seen Esther race enough, but she looks a little like she's struggling. I think it's cold for her, like after the swim. I think she was struggling a bit there. She wore like a long sleeve that's kind of loose, and it got all wet. But Esther is having a sturdy lead of 20 to 30 seconds. But Ida was moving quite comfortable. She's not like doing her grimaces yet. I think we'll see those come up soon.
So
Leon, this is quite a long race for Ida.
Tight gauntlet section coming on down. So thank you so much, Leon. We'll see you down towards that gauntlet. We're going to go chase the athletes and
thank you, Leon.
Hopefully get them at spear throw. Let's go!
Okay, spear throw is that way, right?
Yeah, follow Steve, he knows that. Oh my God, thank you so much. That was a really, really good surprise having Leon Cufford.
Absolute treat. He is. He knows his stuff with OCR, and as well as that, he's an incredible athlete. Leon is very, very talented on grip strength. He is the guy to go to if you want to improve your grip strength, which is crucial in this race. Interesting what he said about Esther struggling after the swim.
Yeah, I was going to say that.
I was interested to see how this loose top would do for her. Oh, she just had a little stumble there. How this loose top would do being soaking wet. If you're going to be getting very, very wet and you're going to wear full length clothes, you want skins. You want something skin tight and compression that's going to dry. Ida, we see, is barely wearing anything, but she didn't appear to be struggling with the cold. So this could be interesting. Yes, Antoine, please do come next year. It's a fantastic place. We have so many beautiful races. Spartan also goes to Wales, it's into Scotland. It really does the terrain.
And again, we are receiving a lot of messages for the rabbits. Thank you for the rabbits with the placement notation. Nice job. I feel your pain.
Forza Eugenio, yes. I am interested to see how Eugenio will be doing because we've not seen a lot of him today, and he is an incredibly strong athlete. A lot of talk about him. We've not seen a lot of evidence of where he is right now, but I'm sure he's going to end up doing quite well. I mean, to me, Esther is still running strong. I don't know how she's feeling, but she still looks strong. And there we see Leon in the background. I mean, look at this terrain, look at it. I mean, it's as wild as it gets.
Yeah, she might look cold, but not struggling.
She doesn't look like she's struggling to me right now. I mean, I'm not on site, I'm not there seeing her, but it's interesting to see when you see these athletes because they are so proficient and they are so strong, but they put so much work in. This is really, really hard work. Don't let them fool you by how easy they're making it look. I'm sure this bit of road here is a little bit of respite for the athletes. Something a bit more flat, not only in gradient but in terrain. It's going to be a lot easier for them. She says, going back to Gregory, who is back uphill. It's amazing how tiring running off-road can be. Anyone who's done any running training, firstly, the easiest is treadmill. Then we go on to road, then we go on to trail and off-road. And just that uneven terrain makes such a difference. And you need so many strong, tiny little muscles in your feet and ankles. There's so many elements to success in this.
Thank you.
Steve, are you able to hear me? What are you up to?
I can hear you. We've got a great vantage point of Gregory on, I think it's on Beta. And then he'll be running down and towards the festival area. So we've got a lot of gauntlet coming up, and it's going to be pretty incredible. So as soon as he comes up, we'll be running alongside him because he's going to be running a 5.5 minute mile down this. And good job I'm in the buggy. And we'll catch him at spear throw. Is spear throw going to be that game changer? It's about 1:30 on the penalty loop. So it's going to be really interesting what we talked about yesterday, Fran, of if it's recoverable or not, or can he hold his lead, or if he really has to hit the spear. So here he is. It's all going to come down to the gauntlet.
We'll see.
I mean,
good job.
You
Thank
can
you so
see
much,
with the
Steve.
penalties being 1:30 with the kind of gaps people have got. We're not talking big gaps. If one person fails an obstacle and the other doesn't, that penalty loop is changing the race. And yeah, there's probably not time to catch up a spear throw with the kind of gaps that people have. Ida's currently, are we aware of how far behind Esther Ida is?
So now we know a little bit more. So Esther is first in the female category, and Ida is right behind. So 1 minute and 35.
Okay, so what we're seeing there is a penalty loop difference. So the women will be just seconds slower on that penalty loop because it's not that far. So what this kind of difference between one and two is failure of an obstacle.
And what we know now is on third position we have Maud de Zutter, and she's 1 minute and 1 second behind Ida.
Right.
So she's 2 minutes and 36 seconds behind the first Esther.
Well, I'm not going to lie to you. This top three of women is not what I was expecting. And normally I get them I normally hit them quite well. I was thinking we have Jezebel Kramer from France, Janka Popova from Slovakia, and Ida Mathilde Stensgaard from Denmark. I was seeing those for me in the top three, hopefully with Ida in second or first. But Jezebel and Janka we're not seeing up there. Esther, as we mentioned, was kind of a surprise late entry. And Maud, fantastic athlete, but kind of coming out of left field slightly. Like we said, she did come first at the Morzine Beast. She came third at the Morzine Beast, and she was 2 minutes behind Janka. So for her to be in third place currently, and we're not sure where Janka is, and let's remind ourselves, Janka came second at the Euro Champs in 2019. She's kind of pulling it out of the bag here. This is a time for Esther to really warm herself up. That sun is bright, it's shining down. If this was cold and rainy and windy, she'd probably start to get in trouble. We can see she probably does suffer with the cold. She has gloves. It's very unusual for obstacle course racers, elites to wear gloves nowadays. It became a bit of a fashion 5 years ago, but right now people don't do it unless they really have to protect skin or because of cold. But she is wrapped up a lot more than anyone else. But right here, she should start to make the warmth up. Where we could see that cold causing a problem could be on the rope climb. She needs good grip strength for the rope climb, and that is getting close to the end. We're looking at the rope climb being obstacle 25, which sounds like there's still plenty to go, but that's, you know, it's getting on towards the festival village area, which is the classic kind of ending point. If she doesn't have good grip and she can't manage it, it's unlikely, but you never know.
That was with Steve, and we were talking about Steve following Gregory. His buggy. Steve? That's a bit of Steve.
Steve's here. Now, I guess you know how a Spartan race ends. With the epic fire jump at the end. It's going to be magnificent. Anyone who's not seen it, it's so beautiful. It's such a good way to end a race. Gregory coming up to the spear throw. If he sticks this, it's kind of the home run, really. If he doesn't, he's in trouble. So the spear has to stick. If it goes in and falls out, that's a failure.
Let's see. Okay. Good job.
It's a penalty for Gregory Basilico, which means he could lose. He could lose his lead. Richard Hynek is right behind him.
I couldn't see that. It's a game changer.
And did
right
Richard
now.
Hynek stick it?
We couldn't see.
So what I think is Gregory failed that and had to go on the penalty loop, and Richard Hynek is now taking the lead going into the festival village area up to the multi-rig right now.
Game changer right now. Steve, we were not able to see very well what happened right now.
Well, incredible scenes to see here. Richard Hynek just took the lead, as you said, Fran. Basilico just did his penalty loop. He lost the space. He's now in third. Thibaut is now in second, and Albert Soleil is still in fourth. But now it's all tightened right up with the lead with about 20 seconds by Richard Hynek.
Is that Thibaut de Boucher coming in? So that has changed everything. Within the last couple of kilometres, and this is where the race gets really exciting. These guys are tired and cold, and they've had to now go through, and here is where they battle it. Rope climb, classic Spartan obstacle, nice and speedy, shouldn't be a problem for anyone. The obstacles are going to come one after the next super fast here.
It was a real game changer. What happened right now?
The spear throw can always be a game changer. It can always be, and it's so exciting. And this is where any of the athletes can pick up a different spot.
Let's have a look right now at the multi-rig. That will be the next obstacle right now.
Excuse me, I can't listen.
So this is the multi-rig. We're getting really technical, old-school Spartan here in this finishers field. We can see two techniques here: big, long swings and using the biceps. Both are great, depends on the day. Oh! My favourite part of that whole video is Steve's little squeak at the end. So here we go, Esther coming up to Olympus. You can see her shaking out her hands there, trying to get a little bit of warmth and feeling into it. She is going for the technique, keeping her feet high as far as she can across. And you can see as soon as her feet leave the bar, she starts to struggle a little bit, but not really. She's strong, she's getting there. Keeping her body as high as she can. She does not seem to have the same upper body strength as, say, Ida.
Yes, nice.
That was an iffy one from that guy over there, but
yes, this way.
she has avoided a penalty loop here.
Comment?
I would love to see what's happening with the guys down in
Me
the field.
too.
Here we go. So we've got two Thibauts running today. We have Thibaut Jean and Thibaut Debouchet. Thibaut Jean from France and Debouchet from Belgium. This is the plate drag. And then there's just 8 obstacles to go, and so much can, I mean, yes, Gregory lost his lead there. He can get it back easily. He can get it back easily. There are obstacles. Here we go, Bender. We didn't see this on the men. This is, again, super simple, nice, tricky. Esther showing absolutely no difficulties getting over that. So the women are currently around obstacle 21, which is around 7 kilometers in. And the men are obstacle 28, the A-frame cargo. So from here, they've got a really tiny little loop with a bucket carry, and it is into the home stretch, where we will see the hoist, we'll see slip wall, we'll see dunk wall, inverted walls, and then fire jump. And these, for those of you in the event village, will see them one after the next, really battling it out for the last few minutes. And well done, Corinne, your timing was pretty much spot on, so well done you.
See? I'm impressed.
I'm impressed. I'm impressed. I never know how long it's going to take.
Oh, and I think Steve is already at the bucket carry with Steve, yeah, with silver. Hey.
Incredible race.
Incredible race, indeed.
Incredible race, absolutely. We agree. Hey, Steve.
This is absolutely incredible, guys. Richard Heineck has got a 20-second lead, but all 4 are now on the bucket carry. We just got Albert Soleil here. So in first place is Richard Heineck, followed by Gregory, followed by Thibaut. So it really is very, very close. I still think it's anyone's game because there's about 3/4 of a mile left. Nothing too tricky, nothing really failable, but there's still a bit of running. I still think anything can happen as we see Richard Heineck finishing now. He did a really, really, really strong bucket carry. Did that do enough to clench him? I don't know. Has he got victory? I think the fight for 2nd, 3rd and 4th, that's where it's going to be really, really exciting. Back to you guys. Let's go follow.
Thanks, Steve.
Thank you so much, Steve. He's so excited. We
So
are so
exciting.
excited. My
It's
God,
so
it became incredible at the end.
So it looks like we just saw Ida on the bender. It looks like she's over a minute and 40 maybe behind Esther. I would still like to know which Thibaut we are following there. I'm thinking it's Debouchet. Unfortunately, you know, as you guys can see, the pictures, it's difficult for us to follow.
Richard Heineck. Richard Heineck.
Everything can change.
This is the Herc hoist, often caused a bit of controversy with weights used for men and women. Sometimes the weights have been very heavy, and if you're a smaller guy, you can really struggle. But right here, we are seeing absolutely no struggling from Richard Heineck, and he is not going to be losing it. Now, what's important here is you cannot let the bag go and just drop. You have to lower it very controlled, otherwise you could just let it go. Gregory has made up that time. If you think he did that loop, he's absolutely made that up, and he's just a few seconds behind. So there's a good chance that right now, Herc hoist, obstacle 30 of 35, we might see him coming back into first. Atlas carry, very basic, but a bit of a tester. Richard is looking tired. He is looking tired, but he doesn't have far to go. Nice little bit of water just to finish him off. Time to get cold. That is not going to be pleasant for Esther. I can't even imagine what these guys are feeling right now. Can you imagine that feeling of having taken the lead at this point in the race and trying to hold on to it after running for 20 kilometers on this terrain and just thinking, this can be it. This could be it. I mean, last year, Richard Heineck came 4th at the Spartan European Championships. Richard always looks like he's about to trip over whilst running.
Must be very hard for Gregory right now.
It must be very difficult, but do you know what? He's going to motivate him to keep pushing. It is going to motivate him to keep pushing. Yeah, Richard is he has a deceptively sweet face for what a big guy he is. He looks big and strong. And again, that's an interesting thing. You can see such a mixture of body types competing in Spartan and doing well.
Okay, Steve, what's happening right now? It must be very interesting because we're almost at the end. Steve?
So exciting here, guys. Oh my goodness. So Basilico is still holding his second place, but the battle for third, that's what's really exciting. For a moment there, Albert Soler went into third place, but then has been taken again by Thibaut Debouchet.
Thank you.
They have this little running section here, which is actually the shape of a Spartan helmet, and then they're going to be up and then into the finish. So I think Richard Heineck is home and dry. Basilico is holding on to his second place, and the battle between Albert Soler and Thibaut is really, really going to be exciting.
Do we have any news on fifth? Because we know the top 5 are getting the prizes.
But fifth place has just gone through. Didn't quite see who it was because I saw the back side of them as they went under dunk wall, but I will find that out.
You don't recognize that?
Thank you, thank you. You will find out for sure.
I don't recognize all the booties, no.
So we're really in the home stretch here. This is, you know, we're getting to the end. That slip wall, the dunk walls. Inverted walls can be a bit tricky when you're cold. It can be a little area for cramp, hooking the leg over the top. But, you know, we're looking to be in the home stretch, and Richard Heineck is probably going to hold on to his lead now for the end. And, I mean, do you know what I love about this? I really thought the spear throw wouldn't cause the problems it normally does, and it still did. It decided the race, even though it's not at the end.
So at the slip wall, we know that Richard was the leader, of course. That second was Gregory Basilico.
And then it was between Albert Soler from Spain and Thibaut Debouchet from Belgium. They were fighting it out, third and fourth. It's going to be interesting.
See if Steve recognizes another butt.
Another butt. It's all about the butts. And here we go, Ida, strong, strong, strong. She has just had the most incredible year. So she was recently ranked as the #1 performing athlete on opinion polls over the last season, which means that every month she was performing well to a good standard, and that is taking everyone into account. And here we go. This is the finish line. We have Richard Heineck coming for the fire jump, celebrating. He knows he has that win, and he has won the European Spartan Championship 2022, taken at the spear throw. It is Richard Heineck from the Czech Republic, and he looks very, very happy about that. That finish line feeling is something that cannot be beaten. Yes, Richard. Congratulations.
Richard.
You pushed and pushed, and you got it there. And hopefully we'll be able to get some finish line interviews and see how that was for
I'm sure we will with Steve. Steve will go right now to the finish
Gregory,
line.
we should be having come through very soon. It will be heartbreaking for him. He was the talk of the town. Everyone was waiting for him to perform here today. And perform he did. He just lost it on a small error on the spear throw. And here he comes in for his fire jump.
It's really heartbreaking. It proves again and again that one mistake.
One small mistake. And that is, as far as I know, the only mistake he made, and he is absolutely spent. Look at him. Scenes on the finish line. And do you know what one of the beautiful things is the camaraderie? Oh my gosh, it's a photo finish! Greg's like, I don't care. I'm having a nap, guys. That was hard.
Oh, good job.
Who was
Good
that?
job.
That was a photo finish. Can you imagine that?
It's all about surpassing yourself, reaching your limits, prove to yourself that you can
These
do
guys
it.
have. Nobody has sat back. Everyone who's coming in here has pushed and pushed and pushed. I would love to see who came in third there and who came in fourth. I think that'll be down to a timing
Yeah, it must be
issue.
hard.
That's going to be down to timing, I reckon, because we're not going to know. So exciting.
It was a beautiful race.
Yeah, that was incredible. Gregory was steady and strong from the start. There is Albert, so that we can see Albert and Thibaut. They were both kind of neck and neck on the finish. We will see who came in. Thibaut has a great history. He placed really well at the World Champs not that long ago.
We're gonna talk about the ladies in a minute, of course, and follow this race until the end. And I would like just right now to have Steve with the winner, Richard.
20, I think.
Well, I'm with the incredible Richard Heineck, who is your European Championship. Describe that course and the tactics involved.
Wow, it was super awesome, up and down. It was kind of tough, but I was feeling very good. As usual, I started slowly, and I started to push for the last 5K, and it helped me. I was quite lucky. Basilica missed the spear throw, so I have enough time to win the race. So I was in calm, and everything was fine for me.
I've never seen a race that close with the top 10 just coming in that. It has spread out now, we come into the obstacles. But at mile 10, there was like 10 people within a minute of each other. Were you always looking over your shoulder?
Yeah, definitely, because as I said, Europe is very strong and there is a lot of athletes. I think everybody in top 20 could be at the podium, so it was super tough and super close. And of course I was looking behind and everybody was there, so it was kind of stressing for me.
Incredible performance. Richard Heineck, your European Championship. Well done, mate. You're incredible.
Thank you so much, Steve.
Steve, thank you so much. Could you please try to talk to Gregory Basilico? Oh my God! Oh my God! Oh my God!
Esther has hit the spear throw. Esther has hit the spear throw, so Ida has no chance of catching up that difference there on that loop.
Yeah.
Yes, we mentioned that. This could have been where Ida could make that difference to take first place, but Esther stuck it. There are a few more obstacles left, but she's not likely to be failing them. Can Ida push hard now? I don't know. This is longer than she normally likes to run. This is longer than her usual competitive distance. So there's a good chance she's going to be struggling already, no matter how strong she is. Can she push and close that gap? It's going to be difficult.
I'm glad we were able to see it, and she did it, because we saw with the guys that this moment
Yeah, that was the changer.
So important.
Of course, the spear throw could change things for second, third, fourth in the women. This is the multi-rig. You see it starts with rings, nice and easy. She's taking her time. She's not rushing. She doesn't need to rush. Nasty little nunchuck rope at the end. If she gets a good swing, she can go just straight to the...
Oh no! You see?
And that little rope is naughty. So here she's taking the penalty loop. Not sure what the distance is on this, but we can assume it's around a minute to a minute and 20 as the others have been. So Ida could be catching her up. She's still strong in her running. Is this Ida coming down to the event village? It is. She doesn't know that she's got a chance to catch up here, but it's probably for the best. She needs to keep her cool for the spear throw. She's going to have people shouting at her. The pressure right now is so intense. And also Esther coming to the end of her penalty loop.
So concentrate. You can do it.
And now Ida's just been told Esther's done the penalty loop, so
Yes.
concentrate
And she's
here at the
close.
spear throw. Let's have a look what Ida does here at the spear. She has been practicing. We've seen Ida's choosing tactically which one to take. She really needs to keep her cool here, because whilst it may not be a chance for her to take first, it could be a chance for her to lose second. She doesn't know how far behind the women are. And what's Ida going to do with this spear throw? Let's have a look.
Yes.
Whoa! And she has stuck it! Amazing. Yes, Ida! Go. If she does the multi-rig now, she's starting to close that gap, and she is getting a safe second.
Again, it can be a game changer for this if she completes. Okay, and we can have Steve at the same time with the second Greg Basilico right now.
I'm with the incredibly fast Gregory Basilico. Absolutely amazing race. You led from the start. You were the fastest racer on the whole course. Describe the course before the spear throw.
Tu as mené toute la course, tu étais le coureur rapide jusqu'au spear throw et là tu as échoué. Tes sensations?
Ouais, c'était une course rapide, mais très usante, exigeante. Les obstacles étaient rendus difficiles parce qu'il pleuvait. Et le spear throw, je le loupe parce qu'il y a la petite bandelette là, où je tape dessus et rebondis sur la bandelette. Et du coup, voilà, ça fait partie du jeu, comme je dis toujours. Et le meilleur a gagné aujourd'hui. J'ai essayé de faire un effort, mais j'étais trop cuit. Ouais.
Pas trop, faut que je traduise. So it was a really hard race. It improved my legs. It's really hard for my legs. So I was faster, but today's the better won this race, and I failed my spear throw because I just touched the structure. So it's okay. The best win this race.
Well, that's incredibly humble of you, but what an amazing depth of field that we had there. Were you constantly looking over your shoulder as well as Richard Heinrich was?
Quel savoir-être, tu étais aujourd'hui très humble. Quelle est la suite pour toi et comment tu envisages la suite des événements de la saison?
Aujourd'hui, l'objectif était très clair. Aujourd'hui, l'objectif c'était vraiment être sur le podium. Voilà, je me suis battu jusqu'au bout avec les armes. Voilà, j'étais un peu malade comme je l'avais dit. Aujourd'hui, ça va, ça a été, je ne l'ai pas trop ressenti. Mais non, le prochain objectif, ce sera Sparte, bien évidemment. C'est le rendez-vous de l'année. Donc, on va bosser encore un peu plus et rendez-vous à Sparte.
Okay, so now I will focus for Sparta because it's the World Championship and there's a lot of beautiful athletes, American athletes, and all the best top athletes on the world will be there. So I will be there too.
Well,
thank you so much.
Because I can't wait to see you with the with.
Thank you so much, Steve.
Okay, no problem.
Thank you so much, Gregory. Congratulations again on your second place. Well done.
So we're just
And
seeing
thank you,
Ida
Steve.
get to the Z walls now. Something really quickly and interesting to point out is we had some rule clarification on the Z walls. In the States, you're not allowed to touch anything but the handholds, but they have clarified here you can put your hand around the upright bar if anyone is wondering at home. Now we just lost Ida the second she was about to finish the multi-rig, but we can assume she got there because we saw her coming
Yes.
through on the rope climb, which means she's going to be catching up still doing her best to catch up to Esther. Esther has just done the A-frame cargo net and she's now got the bucket carry to go. And Ida's coming up to the plate drag. So there's a little bit of difference, but they should actually be able to see No, they won't be able to see each other. Ignore me on that. Esther's just slightly out of Ida's sight, and there we go. What's beautiful after a whole weekend is that path will be absolutely carved into the grass, and Spartan leaving their little legacy for a few weeks before the grass grows back.
Yeah, it's the Spartan helmet. It's beautiful.
Yeah. It's not so beautiful when you're running it, but yeah.
No, just watching it.
So as Gregory mentioned, the next championships we've got coming up, we do have the Trifecta World Championships in Sparta, but the big one coming up is the World Championships in Abu Dhabi, and he will be there and he will be competing. And this is really a good preparation for that because that is a world stage, and we will have the Americans, the Canadians, the South Americans there as well.
He also mentioned that it was a little bit sick. But it was fine. Finally, I was a little bit sick, but it was first during the whole race. I was like,
He is strong, and I'm sure. Do you know what? From what we've seen of him and what we know of him, coming second and losing on the spear throw is just going to motivate him to push harder for the World Championships. Completely different event. That's going to be in the desert, but it's just something you've got to get used to. Here's Ida coming over the A-frame. As soon as we have any news, I guess, on the timing chips for third and fourth, we'll be able to bring that to you.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Maintain your effort. Come on.
Herculean hoist here coming up next for Esther. She has got, still after a penalty loop, she's got a steady lead. So although she lost an obstacle, unlike Gregory, she did not lose her lead from it. She is starting to look a little bit tired, and don't underestimate things like the Atlas carry. You know, that can take it out of you. Things like the Herculean hoist is tiring, and she could just take a couple of seconds not wanting to go under that water on the dunk wall if she's cold and she's struggling. Just a few seconds. It's not going to give anything to second and third place, but you can see now after this event they're really starting to struggle.
You see the others athletes arriving. Oh,
yeah, the men are coming
that
in
feeling.
thick and fast now. You're done. You've done your best. You've raced your race. Ida's second, holding that steady. Strong legs pushing her through this event. So Esther we just missed Esther do the Herculean hoist. She's getting a little bit confused which direction to go, but you can see she's really starting to. And if at this point we had a make or break obstacle that's easy to fail, like for example a balance beam, this is where we could see someone in Esther's position fail. Although a relatively simple obstacle, you can see she's quite panicked, not quite sure where she's going. She is wanting to hold on to that first place. And she could make, that's a beautiful finish there.
Wow!
I love the camaraderie you get between athletes. You know, everyone, they're competing against each other, but they're really there together as well.
And as you mentioned, every second is very important at that point.
Yeah. Blech. She did it. She didn't have to get wet. She was tactical. Smart girl. Got a nice bit of drone aerial view here. Dunk wall, obstacle 33 of 35. Come on, Ida. 33 of 35. She's on the home run. We've just got inverted walls and fire jump.
Come on. Almost there.
Here, Leon egging her on and asking, telling her to go faster and be warm. Here's Ida pulling that up. You can see how heavy these bags are.
Yeah.
Ida's not without strength. She's a strong woman. These women's bags, and I'm going to put this out there, Spartan, I think they're too heavy, personally. They do differ, they always have done in the past, maybe they don't now, but I have always found the women's bags to be disproportionately heavy. And to see Ida, an athlete like that, struggle.
Is it the same weight for women?
I can't comment. In the past, it's differentiated. But then it depends if they get wet. Depends on lots of things. Normally they're different weights. In this race, I'm afraid I don't know, but I would be very surprised if they were the same weight, because normally Spartans do differentiate between men and women.
Let's go. Let's go, let's go, let's go.
Slip wall, dunk wall, inverted walls and fire jump for Ida. We should see Esther coming over the finish line any second now. Here she goes. That is tricky. Making that transition from the top to then reach, it can be really difficult, especially if it's soaking wet and your hands are tired.
And that's not the moment to
That is not the moment to lose it right now. And you're never home and dry until it ain't over till it's over, as they say. So Ida will probably be able to see Esther. Although she's so focused on her own race, she's just making sure she's holding on to that second place. Here we go, this is the finish line.
You can see
Come on, girl.
Just under 2 hours.
Come on.
Ida's really pushing hard now.
Come on, come on, come on.
Come on, Esther, you're so close to the end. Can you imagine this feeling here where you can see your other competitors, you're running around them, you can hear the screams of the crowd, you can hear the arrow, arrow, because the start line is very close to the finish line as well. And Spartan are particularly adept at building an incredible event village where people can stay. And this year they also have a great screen in the event village sponsored by MyZone, where I think this live stream should be going out. So everyone there who can see that will be screaming at the top of their lungs for these athletes, which is absolutely incredible for those running.
You just give everything you have.
Come on, Esther, keep strong.
Last push, last push. Come on.
You can hear the crowds in the background, and that must be so uplifting for these athletes.
Come on.
Her pace has slowed down dramatically from earlier in the race, but can you blame her? She's pushing with absolutely everything she has got, and she is so close to the end. The end is in sight. She can see the event village, she can hear the cheers, she can very probably smell that fire. And let me tell you, there's nothing like jumping over that fire to finish a race. It's not an obstacle so much as a celebration. And when it's cold, it's really helpful. Shaking her hands to get a little bit in. This could be, she could cramp here, you never know. That heel hook. Oh, she's gone straight over the top. No chance of it, thank gosh. And here she is. Here she is.
Yes.
Higher jump.
And
we have it.
Is
Esther Horseback from Slovakia. She has come in just over 2 hours, and she took that as almost an easy win.
Easy win, absolutely. Well done. Let's see if Steve is around to have a word with the winner, Esther. Esther, well done. First,
Absolutely,
of course, of this race.
Esther.
Incredible run for Esther. Steve, can you hear me? Would you please interview Esther, congratulate her and have a word with her?
And someone needs to get Esther a coat.
Oh, yes.
Steve. Esther.
Right in front of you on the right side.
No. Tree.
So that must be Lisa coming in third.
Yes.
I couldn't see whereabouts on the course she was, but she is still holding third place. Lisa's a strong athlete. She came first at Morzine.
We'll have the interview in a few minutes.
And here
now.
is Ida
Let's
crossing
see
the finish
second
line.
Coming, yes.
Yes, Ida. Ida Mathilde Stensgaard.
Yeah. Close
From
behind,
Denmark.
huh? Just behind.
Just behind. About a minute behind. She must be absolutely on top of the world.
Very,
this girl
very
has
good
had
job.
the most incredible season, and she has not let up. I am so happy for her. She ran an incredible race.
Ida Stensgaard from Denmark.
And there they are, congratulating each other on a race well done. Absolutely beautiful. What an incredible
Beautiful
race.
image. Let's see, Steve, if you can interview them. Wow, I love to see that.
And so much good friendship in
This is
OCR.
so Spartan.
It's such a wonderful sport. We're so friendly. It's a competition, but everyone's there for each other.
Can I jump in here, guys? Get in here. Esther, don't go anywhere. I am here with your European champion. Well done, Esther. Absolutely incredible. I'm not sure if you speak English yet or not. You probably don't understand me, but absolutely incredible course out there. How was the battle with Ida out there?
Happy, but I don't very good speak English, but I am so happy and a very nice race.
You can tell by your finish emotions, absolutely incredible. Your European champion, Esther.
I was afraid and I am happy now. Very.
Oh.
Well done, incredible.
Thank you so much, Steve. And maybe you can have a word with Ida.
Ida, with second place here. Ida, absolutely incredible. What a race. Describe, a lot of people want to know, how did the swim affect you?
So my body felt really heavy right after the swim. So I had to push quite hard on that. So you get a little numb, but you just have to, if you push really hard right after the swim, you'll get warm fast. Yeah. So that's the way to do it.
And how was that incredible battle with Esther?
I mean, she's such an impressive athlete. I tried to stick with her, but then when there was further between the obstacles and more running, and the terrain was brutal. Oh my God, maybe there's no mountains, but I promise you this is harder than what I've done in a long time. This squishy thingy, and you had to lift your legs up high. It was it was brutal.
People wonder what fell running is, and in the UK, this is quintessential fell running, a lot of this.
Yeah, that was really, really tough. I mean, I found myself really having to find my grind for not starting walking, keep on running, but it was I felt like I was running like this.
Look behind you, the third,
Lisa. Maud.
Oh, Maud!
This is absolutely incredible scenes,
Maud
guys.
D'Souza has come in third.
Celebrate.
Apologies
Back
for
to you guys in the studio.
Yes, Maud D'Souza, third, for the third place from Belgium. Congratulations to Maud.
She was coming in, that looks like about 3 or 4 minutes behind. So she's run a really strong race. We're getting a much bigger gap in the women's event than we had in the men's, but look at the joy on her face, and this is big for her. Like we said, she came third at Morzine, which is incredible because the Morzine Beast is a very, very difficult race. 2 minutes behind Janka, who we're not currently seeing. But to come third in the European Champs here on this terrain, and as Ida said, this is really nasty, tasty terrain.
And it's incredible. You see how Esther talked. You know,
Yeah.
she looks so sweet.
Yes.
And the first thing she said, I was afraid. You know, and now I feel better. What?
Yeah,
You're
I
a
think
beast,
it's
come on.
important to remember, these people are humans, very normal humans. They've just put a lot
Les gars,
of work
les
in.
gars, les gars, les gars, du Discord.
And
Hey, les
you know,
gars.
genetically blessed as well, but they have these feelings that we have as well. They're scared too, and they push. They're not superhumans. They face the same demons out there that any of us would, and even more so, a lot of them, it's their profession. You know, they make a living from this. It's scary work.
Wow, good job, ladies, and good job, guys. That
T'as plus
was
qu'à finir,
really,
c'est
really
super.
good. I don't know if we have more information about the third and the fourth because we didn't know.
On the men, we've not heard anything yet.
For guys.
We know it was.
C'est bien, mon Baptiste. Cours plus vite, salaud.
So we have the news in for third place for the men. Thibaut de Boucher from Belgium came ahead of Albert Soler of Spain by 1 second. Third place was decided by 1 second. How incredible is that?
So we're going to show you the ranking for the men right now. Let's have a look. So first is Richard Heineck with 143. 09. Second, Gregory Basilico with 143.55. Third, Thibaut de Boucher, 144.08. Fourth, Albert Soleil, 144.08. Fifth, Thomas Bull, 145.10. This is the Spartan 22 to 2022 European Championship, and the top fifth.
So we're seeing the same time there for Thibaut and Albert. I'm guessing there must have been some kind of decision made on course, whether it was made from a chip, made from start times, or how they crossed the line. But the word from Spartan is the third is Thibaut.
Yes.
And that must be very difficult to know that it's come down to 1 second. I'm not sure how many times, Jack Bauer, if you're watching, I would like to know how many times we've got down to 1 second finish for a podium position.
Not an easy decision, and not an easy place to be.
No.
Huh?
Et voilà, le boulot est fait.
And regarding the ladies,
we have our 4th place finisher coming in right now. I'm wanting to say this is Janka. I will be told online if I'm wrong. It is Janka Popova from Slovakia. In 2019, she came 2nd in the Euro Champs. Today, she has come 4th. But, you know, it is a difficult course. 2019 was run in Italy. Today, we are in the UK. Very different. As Ida said, we don't have mountains, but that terrain is something new. I was expecting to see Janka place higher, but we also weren't expecting to see Esther to run today. For me, the one pulling out the bag is Mau de Sousa.
Oui, je l'ai vu. Il est arrivé avant. Ah non, après. On récupère la 5e puis on se casse. Je sais pas. Où ça? Oui, c'est Adela.
Hey Steve, I heard you're with Thibaut.
Bah, attends là ici, ouais,
Hi guys, I'm here with Thomas Buell. What an incredible race out there for you, Thomas. Describe the course conditions, because there was a lot of, the air temperature was beautiful, perfect weather. But how did the swim affect you with the obstacles after that?
The swim, I found the swim amazing. After the swim, my legs were like new. That was the best moment of the race. And yeah, the first part was good. After swim, it was perfect. Then I had a tough moment. So I lost some places, and I've refined my energy after 18K, so I could manage 5th place. But in between, it was a bit difficult for me. But the swim, yeah, it was cool. It was like you dive in, and then coming to my positive. To swim nicely, and yeah.
Because Thomas, you are an obstacle specialist. How did the obstacle proficiency go for you? Did you feel that was a factor in today's race?
It was a factor because all the obstacles were wet. It was very difficult, so no room for error. So you have to be focused on each obstacle and don't try to be too fast, because when it's too slippery, you fall off.
And how do you find this wonderful British, it's like almost like fell running terrain with all the heather and ferns?
The terrain was amazing hard. I don't think I ever seen this before. Because
it's not all green grass, is it?
No, it's not green grass. It was like for your quads, it was amazingly hard.
The closest thing I could describe to it is like post-holing through snow.
Yeah, that may be harder. but snow until your knees. Yeah, it was cool. It was very mentally, but when you are mentally strong, it was a course for me.
Congratulations, well done, mate. Absolutely incredible. You did great.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Steve. Thank you so much for this interview again. Continue the good job, the nice work. And we are seeing the next lady arriving.
The women are coming in thick and fast now. We've still got some men out on the course, obviously,
yeah.
but the top ones have done, and the women are coming through. It's still, we may have had the podium spots, we may have had the prize money spots, but this is still a race for these women and for these men. Just because they're not going to be standing up there doesn't mean they're not pushing as hard as they can right now. This is still very, very important for them. So we've so far had Esther from Slovakia, Ida Mathilde Steensgaard from Denmark, Mau de Sousa from Belgium, and Janka Popova from Slovakia coming through this. So that's the top 4, and we are now waiting on the 5th woman.
Yes.
And here we go.
Oh, the fire and the finish
line. And hugs all round.
Congratulations. Oh my God.
I'm going to take a really big
I
leap
love to
here
see
and
that.
say that's Adela Vorakova from the Czech Republic. And it is indeed, we can see it on her headband. That is Adela Vorakova from the Czech Republic. She came first at the Verbier Beast, and she's had an incredible year. 4 first place in Spartans, bringing her first place in the DAX series overall. So that's run around Germany, Austria, Switzerland, and she's done incredibly this year, and she's brought in 5th place.
I'm tired.
And there's Ida listing how many races she has run recently, and she has run every month this year. And this last few weeks, she has been podiuming weekend after weekend. How she's still going, I don't know. Hopefully she has something left in her legs for the World Championships in December.
Great job, girls.
So there we go, we have our top 5 men and women of the Spartan Euros 2022 held at Pippingford Park.
Okay.
So let's check our top 5. Let's check right now. And congratulations, of course. And let's check our top 5 right now. So, Easter Ortobagiova, 2 hours and 1 minute 30 seconds. Second, Ida Mathilde Stringard, 2 hours, 2 minutes and 44 seconds. Third, Maud Desutter, 2 hours, 5 minutes and 48 seconds. Fourth, Janka Pepova, 2 hours, 9 minutes and 32 seconds. And fifth, Ada Vorakova, 2 hours, 14 minutes and 7 seconds. Here are women top 5 for the Spartan 2022 European Championship. Wow, that's beautiful to see.
That's a really strong race when run by those women. We're not seeing huge gaps there. They have done really, really well here. Incredible running by those women. Quite a big gap between number 1 and number 5, but that's not unusual to see on the women's event. Well done to all of them. Absolutely incredible scenes. I mean, some unexpected podiums, but absolutely incredible.
Absolutely incredible. And of course, the race continues for a lot of them.
Yes, I mean, the race weekend has only just started. It starts with the elites, it starts with the competition, but these events are going to be going on today and tomorrow, and there will be thousands of people taking over Pippingford Park and taking part in events. The elite wave is still going, but we do have our top 5 men and women who pushed and pushed and pushed and were victorious, and it was incredible to see.
It was so beautiful. I would like to thank everyone, of course. Congratulations to the big winners of the Spartan European Championship 2022, and congratulations to all the participants for surpassing themselves, because it's above all that the values of Spartan. That's important to remind. Thank you, all of you, for following this live. It was a real pleasure for me to be with you today. Thank you so much. I would like to thank Francesca to be with me for being our consultant today. Thank you so much also, Steve, for being with us. It was amazing to have you on the field. Thank you for all our rabbits for running so fast. I hope Jordan will feel better. Thank you so much also for you. I would like to tell you that our next event will be, of course, Trifecta World Championship on 4 and 6 November 2022 in Sparta, Greece. Sirtaki. We have to start learning Sirtaki right now, okay?
We're going back to the roots to Sparta. It's an incredible event.
Bye-bye, Steve. Steve, you hear me? It's still chaos or it's better? Bye-bye, Steve.
Bye, Steve. Thank you so much.
It's amazing down here. I was just speaking to a couple of the rabbits. Absolutely incredible. Thank you guys for watching. Join us back next time.
Of course, with pleasure. Bye-bye. So again, bye-bye. See you soon for our next adventure. Way.